All right, Scott, this week we're checking out the Wastelands of the Dreadlands.
The hunt is on. Now do it.
Okay, Scott, we got to check out the Dreadlands on PC this week, and it's kind of this, post-apocalyptic tactics, skirmish style, top-down game. I'm kind of new to this a little bit. We've done some games, along this line, but this one's kind of unique.
Yeah, this one's it's kind of like an XCOM style, Wasteland style combat kind of game. So it kind of follows that formula, but it's kind of got its own unique style and spin on that genre. It was pretty cool to jump into, and it's an early access game, so it's kind of got a couple bugs. You were mentioning earlier, we kept crashing.
I had a couple crashes, mid-session. I mean, nothing major, but enough to disrupt my gameplay. So it was a little difficult in that sense to move forward at points, because you're in the middle of something and it crashes on you. So it is frustrating, but again, you kind of give it that leeway because it is early access. There's going to be problems. Nice thing is I get prompted after the crash, to let them know when it crashed and what was going on in the game. So they are taking community involvement in hopes to improve the game when it comes to full release. So for me, I mean, that is nice to see, but again, also frustrating when you got certain hiccups. But, when we first kind of jump into this game, the art style, the graphics, they're nothing special. I mean, I kind of, when you play PC games, expectations can be through the roof, or, it depends on really what you're playing. And this game, doesn't call for these, huge environments and beautiful worlds. But for the most part, I think, passable graphics, it makes sense to me. The character models don't have a ton of detail, but what I did find is there is actually quite a bit of customization when it comes to setting up your gangs in this game.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how this one's more of a mix between like individualistic type, like a squad that you keep and always work, and instead of being the kind of just unit types you pick and buy from. I like that because that's kind of the more thing I'm used to, where it's just kind of generic units. But that being said, it was kind of really difficult to figure out kind of how to tweak my characters or how to use each one properly without the kind of explanation that I think was required. But
yes,
I was playing the users that have the totems, the animal kin, and they have quite a different style to them than the other faction. But I just found it really complicated knowing which units to actually focus on. It was just a lot gets lost in those screens because there's a lot of information presented to you, especially in the inventory system.
Yes, there's a lot of pop-up info windows when you hover over something. Pretty much anything in this game, there's a lot of information about it. I mean, it's overwhelming at first because you are trying to learn the game and try to figure everything else that is going on, but at the same time, I like the fact that there are some explanation, but because there is so much, it feels a little overwhelming. So you do kind of get lost in all these dialogue windows that keep popping up while you're also trying to figure out how to actually play the game. And for me, when I was playing the game, I thought, some of the action, everything was good. I liked the ranged weapons and how things worked as far as the gameplay. The one thing I didn't really like is actually how I moved around the map with the ASDW key and moving around and the rotating in the map. I just felt like it was almost kind of like chunky, you know what I mean? Like it didn't feel as smooth when I was moving through the environment as maybe some other like RTS style games are when you're moving around that top down view and it's a little more flowing. This felt a little more, I don't know, a little janky, I guess. And for me, it was kind of like, it's just something I noticed.
Yeah, I noticed that too, because as soon as I started rotating the camera around, I would lose my track of where anything was. But it was because the environments, when it comes to combat, just kind of became very samey. They're the same set pieces, kind of junker boxes.
Yeah, you see the same things or the same, iterations of the same things over and over again when you get into these battlefields. And again, I mean, it feels like we're kind of knocking this one a little bit. The gameplay overall, I think, was solid. There are some issues when it comes to, trying to get your inventory system picked out in game. I found that very difficult. I was really only able to pull up my inventory when I was ever at a store or a kind of a merchant type spot. And for me, that's like, okay, well, I should just be able to get in there and, just check my guy's inventory at all times, because there's things like ammo that you don't have a ton of, but ranged weapons are a very big part of this game.
Yeah.
And you always have to make sure you've got that. So really the only place to check is to be at the merchant, other than just a small little bit of info you get on the bottom screen where your gang cards are showing the player cards. And for me, it was just like, there are some things missing, but I do like this game. I was actually having fun playing it. And I think if this game, takes some of the issues they got now and moving forward, tweak it a little bit, I think there's some serious potential here for a game that could actually be a lot of fun, because it is kind of unique for the genre that it's in.
Yeah, well, it has the certain features like the weird PvP kind of integration. Like I saw another gang running around, and I wasn't sure exactly what I was seeing. I didn't know if it was AI or if it was
exactly.
Player.
And you don't always know that, and they can these PvP, and either get in a fight or you can cooperate and take on another gang of people, which I thought was actually pretty cool. And that's not something you're always going to see.
Yeah, the fact that you could team up is really cool to me in a game like this, because the other ones that I've played have been all single player only or competitive, but you're locked in those arenas. So I like the idea that you could progress with somebody and kind of build up your faction, because that's kind of what you're doing on the main world map, is going around and building stuff up and returning to your camp. And
essentially you're kind of always changing the people you have in your squad or your gang, and they kind of call it in this game. And with the early access, we don't get all those features unlocked, so we can't really get to explore this game in its entirety. But the taste that we have gotten thus far, I think, has been good. But because we are in that early access stage, I think those things are expected. We are going to have the problems, and we have seen them. But I don't know if it's enough to turn people away from wanting to check out this game come full release.
So given what we've kind of said about this game already going into this, would you recommend this title to a new player, or would you not recommend this one?
Well, I think I gave myself away a little bit there. But you know what? I have had a lot of fun playing this because it's not a game I'm necessarily always going to get into. And it was a little refreshing for me because it is so different from the genre that it is in. But there are some glaring issues that kind of make it a problem. The crashes for me. But you know what? Overall, I still had a lot of fun jumping in, and I still jump back in it even with the problem. So you know what? I got to recommend this one.
Yeah, I'm much in the same boat there. I think this is a really interesting take on the genre, and if you're into this kind of game, I think there's enough here to definitely warrant checking it out. I would recommend.
This post-apocalyptic top-down skirmish game has a lot of fun, entertaining elements, but the early access issues can make it tough to stick with this one.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.